Hello and welcome to lesson 4.1a, solving problems between measurement systems. So we're going to look at comparing and changing things between metric and imperial types of measurements. Metric is this type of system that we use here in Canada. This is things like kilometers, could be liters, could be anything dealing with area, so square kilometers or square meters, or meters squared. Could also be anything to deal with Celsius. Whereas other parts of the world, specifically things like the US, uses a system called Imperial System. These are based on usually multiples of values of 2, 4, and or 3. There's no specific set way of changing between the imperial system. For instance, 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, but whereas 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, there's no specific change here. Whereas in the metric system, there's multiples of tens or hundreds or thousands. Now, to actually take a look at this, you might want to print out this 4.1a measurements convergence reference sheet. It can be found under 4.1a lesson, and you can print that out and you can use that as a reference sheet to change between these measurement systems. So let's look at doing this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to convert the following 51 inches to feet. Now if you look at your reference sheet, conversion summary sheet, what you can do is you can scroll down until you get to length, because inches and feet are length. In the second table, you'll see 1 foot, FT as a short form, is equal to 12 inches. You might also see 1 foot listed as this kind of symbol, and inches listed as this kind of symbol. So once you have that information, you can actually take the 51 inches that you have and you can multiply it by a ratio of 1 foot over 12 inches. When you do this, you'll actually notice the inches here cancels out when you multiply. So you're going to be left with 51 times 1, which is 51 feet, divided by 12. Now then you just use your calculator and you work out that, and you get exactly 4.25 feet. Now you can leave this as a fraction if you prefer, as 4 1/4 feet if you prefer, but 4.25 feet is just fine by me. So let's try the 937 cups to gallons. Well, a cup is a volume, so we're going to scroll down on our reference sheet until we get cups. Well, I find out that 1 pint is equal to 2 cups. But this doesn't relate cups to gallons. But I do have the fact that 1 gallon is equal to 8 pints. So what we can do is we can string 2 of these things together in order to work this out. So I take 937 cups, I multiply by 1 pint, divided by 2 cups. Here again you can see that the cups will cancel, but we also multiply by 1 gallon over 8 pints. And you can see the pints can cancel out, and then you're going to be left with gallons. So you perform your calculations. 937 times 1 times 1 is 937 gallons now. 2 times 8 is 16, so 937 over 16 gallons. You perform this calculation on your calculator. We get 58.5625 gallons exactly. Now, here in AP Mathematics, if you want to round anything, you're going to round it to the nearest 3 decimal places. And when you round something, you put an approximation sign on it. So you write an equal sign, you write a dot above the equal sign, and then you can round your value. So 58.5625 would be rounded to 58.563 gallons. Now, I'd be a bad math teacher if I didn't show you that also this kind of symbol can also be used in order to approximate. Okay, so there we go. We've converted inches to feet and cups to gallons. Now let's try another conversion. So in this problem, Danica wants to install tiles in her house. The tile costs $2.25 per square foot, or sorry, square yard, my apologies. The bathroom measures 5 feet by 10 feet, and the front foyer measures 8 feet by 15 feet. How much will it cost approximately for all these tiles? Well, the square yard, whenever anything is squared, that is actually telling you that's area. Now, first off, if you take 5 feet and you multiply it by 10 feet, you'll get your area in square feet. So 5 times 10 is 50, and feet times feet is feet squared. But this isn't the total amount of area that you want. We also want the 8 feet times the 15 feet. 8 times 15 is 120. This is going to be feet squared. So the total area would be 50 feet squared plus 120 feet squared, which gives us 170 feet squared. Now please notice that I separated these items. I separated the one calculation and the other calculation. You could put the two calculations together if you want, but you have to set it up as an expression. You wouldn't string the two items together. So once you have these two values together, we look back at our reference sheet. I look back at my reference sheet and I see 1 square yard. I'm going to write it like this: 1 yard squared is equal to 9 square feet. So I'm going to write it like that. So now we're going to change this 170 feet squared. Notice I'm not putting an equal sign right here because this value is not equal to it. We're changing it. So I'm going to multiply by 1 yard squared divided by 9 feet squared. And then I'm going to do my calculation. But then I'm also going to multiply $2.25 per square yard. The yards squares get cancelled out, the feet squared get cancelled out. I multiply through, and I get 382.50. Sorry, that 5 doesn't look right. Now, your calculator will display 382.5, but remember that the 0 right there is the other part of the cents category. You always have to have 2 decimal places. Now, because this is a problem written in words, we should answer in words. So therefore, the total cost to tile the bathroom and foyer is $382.50. And there we go. That's how you do that problem. Okay. Last but not least, last example that we'll take a look at here. Here we're going to want to change from imperial to metric or metric to imperial. So the distance from Oakville to Niagara Falls is 97 kilometers. And the distance from Niagara Falls to New York is 408 miles. That's what this symbol means. MI means miles. So how far is it from Oakville to New York City in kilometers? Well, we already have Oakville to Niagara Falls in kilometers. We just don't have the Niagara Falls to New York in kilometers. So that's what we need to figure out. So a mile and a kilometer is both a distance. I'm going to use the measurement change 1 mile equals 1.6093 kilometers. You could also use the 1 kilometer equals 0.6214 miles, but I'm going to find this a little bit easier to multiply, personally. Doesn't actually make a difference. It should calculate to be the same thing. So here we have 408 miles times 1.6093 kilometers divided by 1 mile. And this is why I think it might be easier. I can do a straight multiplication instead of division. Miles can't cancel out. Oops, my apologies. Doesn't work out approximately, works out exactly as 656.5944 kilometers. And that's only from New York City to Niagara Falls. To figure out the total distance, we're going to add 97 kilometers to that. So notice again, I'm not putting it right here. I'm not adding it right at that end of that equal sign. I'm going to take the 656.5944 and I'm going to add 97 kilometers here. So this gives me 753.5944 kilometers total. Sorry, let me fix that. There we go. And again, if you want to round, you should only approximate at the end of all your calculations. So if I wanted to approximate this, I would approximate it now. I would not approximate halfway between our calculations. So, again, word problem, we should answer with words. Therefore, distance from Oakville to New York City is about 753.594 kilometers. And I use a term about or approximately in distance so that I can actually show you that I've actually approximated my distance. Okay, so let's try one last problem. You are on vacation in Florida, and the temperature on the Weather Channel says it is 84 degrees Fahrenheit. What is the temperature in Celsius? If you look at your reference sheet, the very last item shows you how to change Fahrenheit to Celsius and Celsius into Fahrenheit. So to work out Celsius, the calculation is 5/9 times F minus 32 in brackets, where F is the measurement in Fahrenheit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to substitute 84 into 32. Now, since we've been practicing how to calculate this stuff in our calculator so far, I do not need to know or see you taking the 84, subtracting the 32, then multiplying by the 5, and then dividing by the 9. What you can do is you can just put this all into your calculator right now and work this out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that all into my calculator right now, work this all out, and let my calculator handle the calculations. Now this one turns out to be, I'm going to just show you the exact value, turns out to be 28.8888. Let's see, on my calculator, 2, 4, 6 eighths, and then a 9. That's as much as my calculator can display. Now, based on what I can see here, this actually looks like this is an approximation. This is an approximation of the value of 28.8 repeated. The calculator automatically displays as many digits as it possibly can and then rounds the last digit for you. Well, we probably just want to actually approximate this to 28.889 degrees Celsius. So therefore, the temperature in Florida is about 28.889 degrees Celsius. And there we go. And thus concludes this lesson for today.